The story of Absalom in the Bible is a stark warning of rebellion, pride, and the consequences of betrayal against the anointed of God. Ahithophel's counsel was once like that of one who has inquired from the Lord, tragically turned against King David, aligning with Absalom, who was a conspirator. 2 Samuel 15 and 16, respectively, if you look at the scripture, upon hearing about the betrayal of Absalom and Ahithophel, especially, you know what he did? He didn't retaliate and he didn't try to fight back, but rather he prayed a very simple prayer and he asked that, oh Lord, if you would turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. And God did. The simple prayer that David prayed and the consequences of Absalom and Ahithophel's action and the result of David's prayer tells us that God always will defend his own people. God has shown us this again and again, how he defended Moses, even when Moses did not know that his sister Miriam and Aaron were speaking against him. God started his judgment. The man of God or the servant of God, they are not just there by themselves. Do I say that they are perfect? No. But the moment that they have taken up the responsibility, they become an ambassador of Christ. He will not allow his work to suffer. And anyone is trying to frustrate the work of the Lord with their attitude, with their actions, with their deed, in any way, God will always defend his people, defend his servants, not because of the servant, but because the servant is an emblem of his power, is an emblem, carries an emblem of his glory, carries his name, is now his representative. So he will stand up and defend him, because the moment you begin to undermine and rebel against the servants of God, you're rebelling against God. And that can be very dangerous. So yes, God will defend his own people. God will defend his own servant. Do not frustrate the work of the Lord. Don't become like Sanballat and Tobiah. God will not allow you to cause his own people pain. So if you're in that position, I'm encouraging you to desist. Now, in order for Absalom to solidify his claim of the throne against his father, he went to Ahithophel and asked him, what more can I do now to claim the throne? Ahithophel's counsel at that time to David and both to Absalom was like an oracle has spoken. It was as if God has spoken. And normally a man in his right senses knows that sexual acts should be something that is done in the private or in the closet. But this time around, Ahithophel gave Absalom a very disgusting counsel that now go to the rooftop, go to your one of your father's concubine, and defy her. And so Absalom did the same thing. He had a servant built tent around him, like on the rooftop. He defiled his father's concubine. And Bible said that the whole of Israel was watching this act. So by the reason of one prayer that David prayed, this led to that singular act of Absalom defiling his father's concubine, and all Israel was watching, and this led to Ahithophel committing suicide and tragically also led to the death of Absalom. Why did I say all of this story? Those who God has appointed as his servants, they are accountable unto God and not under the wings of their followers. Now, rebellion against God and is anointed is very dangerous. Bible said that for the sin of rebellion is as of a witchcraft, that of a witchcraft. Now, when we begin to rebel against God's servants, it's very dangerous. You mustn't get to that level where you allow pride and familiarity lead you to begin to question or undermine those who God has placed over you. When you do that, we are at the risk of becoming an instrument in the hand of the enemy. Let us learn from this example. Let us be sober. Whenever you and I feel the urge of questioning or challenging the one who God has placed over you, first, let's be careful. Let us examine ourselves. 1 Corinthians 10:12. Examine yourself. seek God's wisdom prayerfully. Am I coming from the aspect of I'm becoming too familiar with this person? Or is it coming from a heart of jealousy? Or is it coming from a heart of I'm seeking power just like Absalom and Ahithophel were greedy of power? Or am I becoming a pain to them? Is the devil trying to manipulate me to frustrate the work of the Lord? Be careful, let us examine ourselves. And remember, don't forget, God will always take out those who will disrupt his work, who wants to cause disruption. Don't forget the story of Absalom. Don't forget the story of Sanballat and Tobiah. Don't forget Pharaoh and much more. Don't forget Miriam, Moses' sister, and Aaron. The Lord bless you as you support the work of God, as you humbly receive the ministry of the ones that God has placed over you. Again, the Bible said that Jesus could not do so much in his hometown because a lot of people felt like, oh, we know him. Is this not Joseph's son? Is this not Jesus? Are his brothers not Joseph? The Bible said he could not do so many miracles. Don't get to that point where you become too familiar with the people of God who God has placed over you. Or don't become too familiar because you have grown to that particular point where God now speaks to you, just like Miriam and Aaron said. They said, is it the only one who God speaks to? After all, God spoke to us. And God took them to that point that, yes, I might have given you the opportunity to hear, and I might have spoken to you, but have I spoken to you mouth to mouth? No. So the same way, you might have gotten to the level that God now speaks to you. You now have Rhema, or you have the word, or you now have some set of disciples who are after you. Have you forgotten? You are not the called one. Stay in your position. Otherwise, you might be flogged by God. So yes, again, it's a reminder. Don't let pride get into your way. Stay humble. Support the work of God, and God will lift you up in due season.